now recognize for 5 minutes the distinguished gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Burchett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here. You don't have to adjust your mics. This is the way we talk in East Tennessee. It's the only place in America where people don't speak with an accent, so thank you all. I never know what Lawler's saying. I just look at him. If our eyes meet, I figure he's talking to me, but I can't never figure out what the heck he's saying.
What did you just say?
Yeah, see, there you go. Hey, leave the comedy to me, Lawler. Anyway, Mr. Chairman, could you give me the, I'm sorry, not Mr. Chairman, but you got me all confused. Could one of y'all tell me the role and the function of the Bureau of Administration, and what services does it specifically provide for the State Department? Just give it to me from the heart. You don't have to read something, ma'am. Just tell me what you think. How about that?
Sure. So I would say the A Bureau is certainly a collection of interesting operational functions that work at that are the backbone of the State Department and the operational services there. So again, as mentioned, travel services is certainly one of those, but logistics management is a big category. Records management and privacy mandates and FOIA is another one that people obviously think of. Contracting and procurement is a huge part of what the A Bureau does. And then real property is certainly something. But we also oversees the Overseas School Program, which making sure that those that serve overseas with their families, that their children can attend schools that are up to U.S. standards and give them the support that they need for the education of their children. We also do things like language interpretation and translation. It's far and wide. I kind of always make the joke, there was this Old Life cereal commercial, like, give it to Mikey, he'll eat it. The A Bureau is kind of that model, quite frankly. It is the place that lots of little programs that maybe a lot of people don't think about go that support the State Department as a whole.
Sir, would you add or detract anything from that?
Well, the first thing I would like to add, Mr. Burchett, is that I appreciate the way you talk, because I'm a graduate of the University of Tennessee at Knoxville, despite my accent, which is obviously not from Tennessee.
Go Vols. What year was that?
1977, the year I joined the Foreign Service.
See, I was, wait, see, 97. No, my dad was Dean of Student Conduct back then. I doubt he saw you then either. You were probably one of those overachievers. But he also had the Freshman Honor Society, so I don't know if he saw you there either. Let me skip around a little bit. Do you think that the State Department is maintaining facilities that provide little or no benefit to its diplomatic mission? Because I know we're looking into a lot now at waste and things, and I don't want you to be critical, but I would like to know if you could see some efficiencies there.
I'll speak from my perspective, of course. I'm happy to have my colleague be much more specific, because she was in charge of the real estate of the department. I know that there's a plan, or at least some consideration being given right now, to streamlining our overseas presence in terms of, do we need to have consulates in various parts of various countries? Can we close smaller posts? Can we go ahead and create more efficiencies by not being everywhere? First of all, I would certainly recommend and advocate that we maintain the principle of universality in terms of being present in every country in which the United States has diplomatic relations. That does not mean that we have to have a gigantic presence, or that we have to have multiple consulates in the same country. That the embassy can be the focal point of the U.S. diplomatic presence and representing U.S. interests. So in that context, taking a close look at the multiple consular posts we might have in certain countries, particularly in the more advanced countries or the more modern parts of the world, and also whether every agency that is represented overseas needs to be overseas to go ahead and perform the functions on behalf of the American people. In other words, does every agency right now that has a perch in certain places, can it be done from either regional offices, or can it be done from back in the United States, versus having it done in an overseas location. So in that sense, I think it's very worthwhile to look at efficiencies, not to sort of say, no, we have to have everything just the way it is. But I would always do it with the consideration of, let's not move the United States out of countries altogether in which we know that Chinese and other interests will very quickly fill the vacuum that we leave behind.
Real quick, you mentioned Chinese. Something I have a real passion for, and I'm not sure if it's with you all or not, is reclaiming desert areas. All across the continent of Africa, everybody thinks Africa's a country, it's a continent, but they are reclaiming the desert through a process, or several processes, don't need to go into it. And I'm wondering, is that a function that you all would help facilitate through grants or something like that?
In other words, the question being, would we?
Because if we don't do it, the Chinese are going to do it.
In other words, should we be competing everywhere in the world, including on the area that you just mentioned right now? My strong recommendation is categorically so. We should not let Belt and Road be the effort that sort of rules the roost around the world without the United States being present.
I'm way over my time, but if y'all know somebody who's involved in that, if y'all could get with me, I would really love to be involved in that.
Yes, sir.
It's
Thank
not
you.
worth a vote for me, but I could sleep well at night knowing that we did something. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman. I'm way over, but thank you, brother.